clients are somebody who are lifeline of the organization actually, and they're paramount for you actually. Things you feel that it could have been done in a better manner. That's again the learning, and there's no point crying over the spilled milk, right? Because you can't do much about that. The things which have happened, they happen. Now, what you need to do is, how do I correct from there? How do I learn from there? Advertising is an exciting field, but advertising is a field of creativity, and that's where you'll find creativity, data, technology, all sort of merging together, because advertising ultimately is not just advertising and communication. If you are in advertising, you stay there for 4 to 5 years, you'll be there for life.
I'm your host Gaurav Garg, and we welcome all our viewers to our show Amazing Mentor. Today with us is Mr. Anand. He is CEO Dentsu Aegis Network India. He is a CA and CMA by profession and holds a postgraduate diploma in digital business. He has played a major role in building Dentsu India Network from a setup of 64 employees in 2 cities to over 3,500 employees in 9 cities. Anand's notable achievement as the CEO of Dentsu India Network includes the prestigious Adam Smith Award for the best-in-class treasury solution in India and CEO with HR Orientation Award by Asia Pacific HRM Congress 2019. It's a pleasure to welcome Mr. Anand to our show Amazing Mentor. Welcome, Mr. Anand. So tell us about your childhood and your hobbies.
So my childhood, I'm a Bombay boy, actually Mumbai boy. At that time it was Bombay. So born and brought up in Mumbai. So childhood has been in Mumbai. And the schooling, college, everything was in and around the Mumbai suburbs actually. And that's where I have sort of grown. Hobbies during childhood, at that point of time, obviously there was no mobiles, or as you keep on getting those WhatsApp memes as well, right? Means during our time is what we call Generation X, so something like that. There was more outdoor activities, or badminton was one of my favorite. Then being in Mumbai, playing cricket in the evening with the friends. Reading was and is one of my favorite pastimes actually. So I used to read a lot then also, and now also I try to catch up on reading from time to time. So these three I would say as and during vacations traveling. So with my family and subsequently then later with my friends actually.
So what about your schooling? Where did you complete your schooling from?
Schooling, as I said, it was in Mumbai itself, Mumbai suburbs. I used to stay in Santa Cruz, which is a suburb of Mumbai. You would be aware. So the school was just next door in that way, maybe 10 minutes walk from house. And that's where I did my schooling from State Education Board. And after that, the college was again in Parlan, NM College. I did my commerce graduation from there. So in a way, schooling and college was within walking or cyclable and bikeable distance actually.
Any naughtiest moment you remember of your schooling time?
Naughtiest moment, actually, I was in a way quite obedient child. So I don't remember as something which I can call it as naughtiest or which sort of stands out. But during schooling, I did my NCC actually, which is on National Cadet Corps. So I was attending. So now a few of the experiences are around that actually. But it was more on independence which I got, traveling on our own within the city or at that point of time, our parents never used to allow us to sort of move out on our own, taking our bicycles, because we used to stay on the busy street. So I think the experiences are more on that actually, means taking cycle out without their permission or sort of going out during summer vacations. But as I said, it was more obedient. So I don't have something which is a naughty memory in that way actually.
So what was your dream profession as a child?
At that time, I definitely wanted to be Air Force pilot actually, or joining Air Force actually, because that was my the dream or a sort of ambition at that point of time. But eventually I think that didn't materialize. But besides that, post my schooling, I had done camp with a military school also, Bosla Military School. I did that. I had done some other courses at that point of time, but eventually it did not materialize. And I ended up doing my commerce and then eventually then my chartered accountancy actually. So this is just shifted from being in military or in armed forces to with a pen in the hand actually.
So how and where did you started your professional journey from?
Post graduation, I did my chartered accountancy, and on qualification, I joined Ernst & Young, SR Bartley, which was the firm at that time, and I started my professional journey as in the audit team as audit executive at that point of time. And from there, I moved on to, for almost 5 years, I was in the audit team of Ernst & Young. After that, when I thought that I have done a lot of audits or sort of just wanted to move on from there, I switched my job at that point of time and I joined advertising as a field or advertising world in that sense. I joined Lintas after 5 years of my experience with EY. And since then, for last 20 years, I've been in this advertising world. Means 8 years in Lintas and last 12 years in Dentsu. It was Aegis Media at that point of time when I joined them. Since then, for last 12 years, I've been with Dentsu. And it's really a satisfying journey, actually, and still a long way to go.
So what all challenges did you face in your starting of your career?
I won't call it challenges, but a lot of learnings actually when it started. So when I joined Ernst & Young, my very first assignment, which was given to be my manager at that point of time, was with one of the FMCGs actually. So as I was saying about the learnings in that case, because the assignment was that we were to do audits of sales depots or the marketing department actually, and almost around 27 cities, if I'm not wrong, across the country. And that was way back in 96. So it was not as easily connected at this point of time. And it was to be sort of coordinated across those 27 locations of the client and at the same time, various offices of Ernst & Young as well. So my managers told me that you just connect with our offices, connect with the client and his teams over there, just coordinate and get the audit work completed, prepare the questionnaires and then get the whole thing sorted out. So the first experience coming out of being an article clerk and into this, because until then you were just always guided by your seniors. And here, the very first job, my manager said that just go out, speak with people and do that. So on that assignment, I got to learn to be sort of a secretary, dealing with people, working on the travel arrangements, obviously planning as an auditor, executing the audits. At the same time, a travel agent or ticket booking agent also, because I had to book tickets for people and then sort of coordinate their stay arrangements, all their issues, and sort of it was more like a HR angle also. So I think that one assignment within the first, it was almost for 3 months, but it gave me complete sort of learnings of what could go wrong and how you can sort of improve upon that. The one great learning for me was the support which the manager gave me and the confidence actually. Means saying that you can make mistakes, I'm there for you. Go ahead and sort of jump into the pool, but be rest assured that I'm there for you. If there's something needed, just give a shout, I'll be around. But I think that's the freedom which he gave. I think that has helped me sort of move ahead at later stage also.
So after being in the line for 25 years, if you are given an option to again be a pilot, so what would be your answer?
I would definitely like to explore that. But obviously it can't be no fighter pilot, but I think that's something which definitely does bring back. And then pilot to learn the flying, I think I definitely would go for. I think since you mentioned that, I think maybe that's one thing I can sort of look at again. So that's true. Why not? Means I believe in learning or continuous improvement. So I think that's definitely one thing which can be.
So what's the opinion of your team about you as a boss?
I believe people should take their own decisions, carry their own work around, allow people to make mistakes, but be always there. As I said, my first boss, I would say, or my first manager, that was the example at that point of time, that anything that might be new, but allow people to sort of learn, make mistakes, but be there if there's something that they need to know. So as a leader, you are an enabler. You're not somebody to guide, but sort of enable people to sort of fulfill their ambitions and then be around for them and support them in their journeys actually. So I think my team also looks things in the same manner actually.
So what are the areas you want to improve upon?
What I believe in, Gaurav, is actually continuous improvement, because you can't call it that you have achieved something or you sort of reached a pinnacle or anything, because once you do something, there's always something else, a new goalpost. So, but from my perspective, definitely, I think communications, it's always evolving. Your people skills, you call it, or sort of engagement. I think that's something which keeps on ever evolving. Keep on meeting new people as you're changing roles, you're taking new responsibilities. New challenges or new ideas keep on coming. So just be open-minded, and then I think improve upon is just keep your vistas open actually, and just try to absorb and be willing to learn. I think that's what I believe in. So I think the improvement comes from there.
So what about your strength?
I would say agility or ambitious, or I do have very aggressive sort of targets which I like to set for myself and for our team and for our business as well. But I think the strength is more on eye for detail. It comes partly from my earlier sort of avatar as well, or as my earlier role actually, with the finance as the core background, because by qualification, I'm a chartered accountant, and post that I've sort of moved into. So I think it goes from there. So being ambitious, agile, open-minded, I think that's something which goes as a part of where I do like to sort of push in. And the experience over the years. And I think one large thing is actually the transition from CFO to CEO. So when I see from a limited perspective of a business or the areas actually, the complete experience actually, the end-to-end experience of how the things are operating and how they need to be actually.
So, what was the feeling when you were awarded the Best in Class Treasury Solution in India award?
So that was part of our finance improvement process. Actually, it was me. Actually, ultimately, yeah, means I was the face in that sense. It was the team actually who was working on, but ultimately that's where it goes in, that you remain to be the face in that way. So we were looking at automating multiple actions within our treasury team or within the finance team, and it was more on how do we optimize our resources, how do we minimize or reduce the wastage actually. So the idea was more from that, and what's important or what's quite unique in this award is actually that's the only award which an advertising agency or advertising network has won, because the Adam Smith Award is actually for core finance businesses, and advertising in that sense comes quite way down in that sense from value chain perspective. We see from finance aspects of that. So it was more on the innovation which was needed over there, thinking out of box. The team had worked with our banking partners and had come out with this solution. So it was largely on using your funds in an efficient manner, because as an advertising agency network, we do work with our clients' funds actually. It's a huge responsibility because you do advertisements on behalf of clients, manage their funds and ensure the vendors are paid on time. So within that, how do you optimize the funds and resources and use them, put them to right use actually. So you're able to sort of adhere to all the requirements. And I think this automation, the award was a testimony to that actually. The team came out with good product with a banker. So that's ensures the compliances and optimal use of resources actually. So that's something which becomes quite unique for this. And it's one of its kind in an advertising industry world actually. So that's more so special for that.
What is the definition of client according to you?
I won't say a definition, because if you are in a commercial enterprise or you are in a business, why you're there for means definitely now we are talking of triple bottom line, and we are talking of the corporate social responsibility also to society. But the four pillars, if you want to call it, for a company, client or customer becomes or is the paramount, because that's the whole purpose of your existence as well, right? Because for a commercial organization, so client is somebody who you work with or you work for in that sense in solving the problems of their business, or for whom you try to create value actually, because the value you would be creating is for your customers, then your employees, which is your internal stakeholders, then your partners who might be your vendors or other parts of your business. And the fourth part is actually with the society. But where the ability to create value for the three others comes from is as long as you have a strong client base, you're working with the clients, and then that's where you sort of try to create value across all the parameters. So clients are somebody who are lifeline of the organization actually, and they're paramount for you actually. And how do we partner with them to provide solutions to their business problems? How do we optimize solutions for them and help them succeed in their goals and their ambitions? Because that's what helps us as advertising agency network also succeed in our commitment to obviously clients or other stakeholders as well. And shareholders are obviously is one of the key components, ultimate sort of fifth stakeholder in that. So, but client becomes the core or central point through or around which the entire organization would be sort of driving. So that's how I look at the clients.
So do you have any mentor in your professional journey?
As you are evolving, you definitely need to have somebody whom you can speak to, or whom you sort of bounce your ideas with, or get some guidance from. And I think if you don't have, as you progress in your journey also, you need to have somebody you need to work with. So I do have my current boss whom I sort of work with or whom sort of engage with, my past seniors also, and obviously my life partner, my wife also, who becomes one of my sort of good partners to sort of discuss ideas or get ideas from. I think that's something which continues. But from mentorship, actually, it comes more from the business or the field you are in. My past 3 employments, I think I do have one mentor each from each of the places, and I think that becomes quite helpful. If you have any issue or you want to just sort of get some idea or thoughts around, the mentors always are very helpful actually, and helping you course correct or showing you the mirror as well actually.
So what are your roles and responsibility as a CEO of Dentsu Aegis Network India?
Now we have actually renamed to Dentsu International now. So Dentsu Aegis Network, which we were up to last year, we have renamed to Dentsu International. So as the CEO of the business, obviously means what we look for or what we are looking for in the current scenario as immediate basis is obviously the stability coming out of COVID, so post-COVID scenario. But I think more than that, for the CEO, being the strategic leader actually means I think driving sustainable growth, that becomes quite important. And as a CEO, you need to set the vision and the tone for the organization. I think setting it right at the top actually. So, and it would change from organization to organization actually. The kind of values you are bringing in, the values which the organization wants to live in, and what is my vision, and setting those long-term plans and breaking them down into those immediate term plans, mid-term plans, and the ultimate long-term goal which the organization is going to drive. I think that that's something which is quite important for the CEO to set the tone as, and being the leader who will be driving that and setting that tone right from the beginning. So I think driving growth, that becomes extremely important from CEO perspective, and a sustainable growth and creating value for the organization and the stakeholders. I think that that's something which I would say is pretty important. And as a CEO, nowadays you are not just the CEO, because the way the world is evolving, how fast the things are changing, digital has become a large part of our day-to-day life, right? So every day the new things are coming up. In COVID world, we have seen every third day there was something new. The world was changing right in front of your eyes. What was true yesterday was not true today. So it's the same thing for CEOs in the current day and age as well. So you are a CEO, you're a CXO, means you're the experience officer, you're the chief talent officer. You become everything actually, because then that's how sort of the world is moving so fast. But as an organization which is more stable, you would have all the roles flowing through. But as CEO, you need to weave in through all these lines as well regularly. So people skills together, it's extremely important actually.
So any decision or action you regret in your career?
No, as I said, I always look at the positives, right? I said right in the beginning. So there's nothing which I would say I regret. Any decision that's taken, that's always for the better. Means there would be some decisions which you might feel in the hindsight, I could have done it in a different way, but that's a learning for you. Means, if you have made a mistake, then for sure you won't be repeating that mistake again, hopefully, because that's what you have learned your mistake and then you're sort of improved from. So there's nothing I would say that for me personally, there's something which I regret or which I say I shouldn't have done. There are certain things you feel that it could have been done in a better manner. That's again the learning. So, and there's no point crying over the spilled milk, right? Because you can't do much about that. The things which have happened, they have happened. Now, what you need to do is, how do I correct from there? How do I learn from there? As long as you keep that as the outlook, and that's what I believe in. So, if there are any actions to be taken, they need to be taken. It's not that you just forget what was done, but learn from there and sort of build your future actions. I think that's what I believe in. So, no regrets.
So, what are the do's and don'ts you would advise while starting your journey in advertising?
Yeah, the question was, what are you waiting for actually? Because advertising is an exciting field. It's definitely something which has undergone a huge change over the years. But advertising is a field of creativity, and that's where you'll find creativity, data, technology, all sort of merging together, because advertising ultimately is not just advertising and communication. It deals in human behavior, it deals in ideas creation, taking those ideas, inspiring people. And from advertising itself is a field where you can get into multiple areas or sort of, I would say, vocations as well. You do have successful people sitting in the films background who have been from advertising world or into other creative areas who have moved away from advertising and gone there. So advertising is something which will definitely give you a lot of insights if you are open to learning new ideas, you're open to sort of contributing to new ideas. I think advertising is definitely the field. But at the same time, it's not an easy field or easy world in that way. So you ought to be committed and you ought to be, and that's as in any field actually. But your passion and if you are willing to sort of learn and embrace the advertising or the life, I think that's the place to be in. So do's and don'ts, what I would say is understand more about advertising. Advertising is not just a single word actually, because it just runs across multiple facets. So what is it that you are interested in? Different mediums. You want to be in creative side, you want to be in media side, or you want to be maybe this performance in digital. So where you want to learn to be, I think just get an idea also what you like, understand about it, speak to people. And if you feel that you do want to sort of move in, and it's one of the easiest field to get in as well. Typically, that's what we call it. If you are in advertising, you stay there for 4 to 5 years, you'll be there for life. First 3-4 years in which people sort of try to understand and decide that I'm liking it or I'm not liking it. But it's a field, I think, which is open to all. And if you are 15 years old, I won't say that's a workable age, but the young person also can get creative ideas with your social media now. anybody can be a sort of person also. And similarly, you are 60 years old also, still you can be a contributor to advertising. So it's something which sort of runs across. And for me also, right? So you can see that from moving from finance onto the business side, I think that's something which is quite plausible and possible in an advertising world as well. So
now we will start our rapid round.
Yeah.
Favorite actor and actress?
I would say Amitabh Bachchan and Madhuri Dixit from Bollywood, or otherwise Russell Crowe.
Favorite color?
Red and light blue.
Your favorite destination?
I would say 3. It's Goa, Uttarakhand, and then Switzerland. It's mountainous region is something which I like more, but Goa is something I'd love to go back time and again.
Your favorite car?
Volvo.
Things which are in your wish list?
The wish list actually, it's more on traveling. I like to travel, and then most in the last 1 year, traveling around the world, visiting new places, and taking in the culture actually. So that's I would say the biggest one in my wish list.
Dream house?
Dream house is something which I have dreamt of is on some mountainside, actually overlooking the valley. So it's more like a retirement home somewhere on Uttarakhand side or any hillside.
One thing that you would like to change if you are provided superpower?
The strife that we have in the society, if there's something which one can do, bringing in more diversity and equality actually. I think if I were to have the superpower, I would try to work towards that actually. It's more societal or contribution to society. And I think that equality, that's something which can be.
At last, that one line that defines you.
There's this saying in movie Lion King, I don't know if you've seen that, but Hakuna Matata, which means no worries. So a bit like don't worry, be happy. I think that's what I believe in. So that Hakuna Matata is, I like to use all across. So no worries, think on the positives and be happy. So that's I would say is my motto.
So thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you and listening to your experiences.
Thanks, Gaurav. Pleasure talking to you, and all the best. And keep on the good work that you're doing. All the best.
Thanks for watching Amazing Mentor, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button to get regular updates.